What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having an awesome start to your week. Bitcoin is still kind of hanging around the same level that it was yesterday. We do have Ethereum actually up 2.5%, leading the way. Now, obviously, the reason that Ethereum is up today is because J.K. Rowling came out and said, this is getting silly. I'm not joining the Bitcoin community. It should be perfectly obvious by now that I've been trolling Bitcoin in the hope of boosting my significant Ethereum holdings. So obviously, guys, that's why the price of Ethereum is up today. No, I have no idea. Maybe people are just excited.
Ha ha, very funny, motherfucker.
But having a look right here, though, you do notice that Bitcoin did actually try to have a little bit of a dump overnight. We got down to about $9,420. We have had a bit of a buy back in. However, we need to talk about the fact that Bitcoin has been rejected at this key level, not once, not twice, but 3 times. So the question is third time the charm, or I guess in this case, striking out, and Bitcoin is set to actually have a bit of a pullback? Well, I want to go into the fact that we do have Preston Fish over here talking about 31 blocks being behind schedule on the Bitcoin difficulty epoch. In fact, it's up to 73 blocks now. What does this all mean? Well, it could mean that there may be one last really amazing buying opportunity for Bitcoin. So yes, that would mean that we may have some sort of a potential dump or crash coming up, but you have to look at it as a potential opportunity to buy Bitcoin one last time, very cheap. I'm going to get into all this moving forward. Oh, and by the way, he does predict that by this time next year, we could see Bitcoin ranging between $80,000 and $100,000, maybe even having a potential peak of $300,000. We're going to get into all that, of course, whether or not the halving was priced in, what to expect short-term and long-term, and of course, at the end of this video, we are giving away the Ledger Nano S because today is Monday, and if all of that sounds good to you, well, you know what to do. If you're not subscribed, definitely consider it, and without further ado, let's dive directly into the charts. Now, actually, I didn't notice this, but on the 4-hour chart overnight, or over the weekend, I should say, there was actually a CME futures gap. And in order for that gap to get closed, we had to actually come down to about $9,570. So we actually did close that gap. And after we closed it, Bitcoin did start going the other way. Was that why Bitcoin fell? Well, not exactly, guys. You can see we are actually having some major rejection up here at this trend line. We got rejected once right here, twice again we tried to break through it, and just over the weekend again, we got up to about that $9,950 level. If you watched yesterday's video, that is the exact level I spoke about for resistance. We hit it literally on the nail, and we started to pull back. And having a look right here, you will notice that we are starting to trend downwards. Now, if we do get rejected very hard at this level, this could bring Bitcoin down, like I said, to about the $8,800 level. That could be an amazing buying opportunity for Bitcoin. Now, I want to talk about the fact that we actually had a golden cross on the MACD. Shout out to Who is Yashu for pointing that out. And we're also looking for a golden cross on the daily. You could see right here, by tomorrow, even if Bitcoin has a dump, we're definitely still going to have this cross right here coming up over the 100 and the 200, and that is considered a golden cross. However, as I spoke about, be careful. Even though these are technically bullish for Bitcoin, sometimes you do see big traders and whales counter trading this and, taking advantage of doing the opposite of what most people think is going to happen, which you do have to ask, have we been a little bit too optimistic for Bitcoin's price lately? Think about it. If absolutely everyone thinks the price is going to go higher, everyone can't be right? So having a look right here, though, I do want to point out that we still do have a very similar structural setup as we did back here before we had the major blast off where Bitcoin pumped 160%. We had 7 weekly candles followed by a red doji. We had another weekly candle, another red sort of spinning top doji, followed by a massive explosion. Well, we're literally doing the same thing right now. We had 7 green candles. We had a red sort of Darth Maul wick, we had our green candle, and now we're putting in a red candle to start the week off. So crazy similar what we're doing right now. Will we break out to the top? Well, as I said, we have been putting in this descending broadening wedge. You can see the moves keep getting bigger every time Bitcoin moves. So does that mean we're looking for now a massive dump down to these lower $4,500 levels? It's a possibility. I'm not going to rule it out of the cards. We are sitting right here at the top. We could break out. If we do break out, we could potentially head to that $15,500 mark. You can see Josh Rager does point out nice weekly close above the 9,550s. Looking forward to watching the Fed pumping all the markets this week. However, having a look right here, like I said, there is that chance to fall down, but I do see where Josh is coming from. You could see we did have major support zones right here, okay, which then turned into resistance zones here, and here just before we got above it. And currently, if we do zoom in, Bitcoin is actually technically sitting above that level. So very, very, very short term, that could be bullish. But like I said, guys, we could still have that drop to the lower level, which would still be bullish. We would still be putting in an uptrend. We're still going up. We're not putting in any lower lows. So that's still good for Bitcoin. You can see right here, if you have a look at the 2 different trends we're following, any of these dumps down to these levels, you're still putting in an uptrend. You're still putting in a higher low. This is still good for Bitcoin. But I know if you're new, you're probably wondering why we're not already to the moon. Well, these things take time and Bitcoin is a very choppy market. But like Light Crypto pointed out, and he's very bullish. He says, I've yet to run into a single competent trader investor who is bearish on Bitcoin in this current moment. And those who are long are bullish with conviction. In hindsight, it'll either look incredibly obvious or it'll turn out that we've all run grossly ahead of ourselves. So I want to ask you guys, what do you think? Do you think that maybe people are a little too bullish right now? We're getting a little bit too excited, right? Because think about it, there has to be a buyer and a seller on each side. How could everybody be long, everybody bullish, right? Wouldn't that create sort of a potential long squeeze, which is the opposite of a short squeeze, which means that we could see a massive correction to the downside? It is possible, but I want to point out what Preston Fish pointed out over here. And if you're not familiar with who he is, he does have a YouTube channel. He talks about a lot of different things in the finance world. He analyzes billionaires. I think Buffett books, right? That's his creation. But essentially what he says, now this actually came out May 16th. He said that we were 31 blocks behind schedule on the Bitcoin difficulty epoch. He says there might be one more bite at the apple, meaning one more potential dip. For all you deep hodlers, make sure you got your buying hats ready. And he actually updated it yesterday, and he says they're now 73 blocks behind schedule. Quite the drop off in hash rate, right? We fell over 30%. We pointed that out. Although we said that wasn't necessarily a bad thing. If you don't remember why, just check out my video from a few days ago. But he says price is making a little run, but I'm skeptical it can hold in the coming 10 days. Very exciting times. Might be the last big buying opportunity for this 4-year cycle. And I want to give a massive shout out to Nathan Lotka, who actually had Preston Fish on his channel, and they were talking about sort of whether or not the Bitcoin halving was priced in, or the fact that everybody thinks Bitcoin is going to go to like 100K or whatever. And he actually gave his opinion on essentially the Bitcoin mining situation and his prediction for the Bitcoin cycle. And he actually thinks by the summer of next year, we could see Bitcoin ranging somewhere between $80,000 to $100,000, potentially even having had a blow off top to the $300,000 level. I want to play a clip from this, hopefully with the permission of Nathan. Definitely check out his channel, get subscribed if you haven't, but check this clip out and then we're going to talk about it.
Okay, well, let's go back to our world then, which is the collapse of fiat. Your argument was earlier there has to be a strong alternative. So what has to happen with Bitcoin where I can go buy food with, like, is it that I have to, Safeway has to accept Bitcoin, I can go buy food with Bitcoin, I realize I don't, I can buy that Coke for $1 still today, but if I use dollars, it's $1.80 because of inflation?
So this is one of the biggest misnomers that I think people have on Bitcoin is they think that people have to start using it in buying a cup of coffee or going to the grocery store in order for the price to go up for the utility piece of it.
Utility valuing, yeah.
Yeah. I know this is really controversial, but I would tell you that I don't think that that's necessarily required for it to go to the next, I call them orbits, the next price orbit. And so the reason why is, I'm sorry, it's hard for me to explain some of this stuff because it gets really deep.
I know, it's tough stuff.
So what's driving the price today and for the last 10 years, in my very humble opinion, the thing that has been driving the price floor, and I want to emphasize the price floor, is the electrical expenses for the miners. They set the floor completely because this difficulty adjustment that happens every 2 weeks will make it easier for them if a bunch of them drop out. And so it forces them to come in, and then relative to that reward flow, it polarizes the price at what's called a stock to flow value. We can share an article for people to read if they really want to dig into this.
Okay.
So as that halving event occurs, immediately what happens is the price, and I don't want to say immediately, usually it's like a month or two delay after the halving event, you start to see the price run. And the price starts running to that next orbit that's higher.
And define that, by the way, give me a range. I know you want to give a specific number. We're at 7,000 today. What do you think the next orbit is?
I think the next orbit's anywhere from $80,000 to $100,000.
Really?
Yeah. And I think you're going to get there by summer next year.
How is this not? See, everyone tells me this, but if everyone knows it, it should already be priced into the price of Bitcoin. Just
well,
like
that's another big misnomer. So because the flow has not changed on this, the reward flow that we're seeing right now for the current 4-year cycle that we're in has not changed. Your electrical costs are somewhat the same throughout that 4-year period of time, and so these miners are mining. They're receiving Bitcoin into their treasury, then they have to sell them to pay their electrical expenses. And you basically meet like this homeostasis type situation at the end of that 4-year cycle that polarizes the price to where it's at. So the reason that you see the price go on these massive ramps. So like I would tell you that I think the next orbit level is $80,000 to $100,000. Do I think that it's just going to go up to that number and stop? Hell no, it's going to go straight through that number. It's probably going to go to 200,000 to 300,000. And then if it doesn't meet its escape velocity, which is a whole other term, which is, in my opinion, completely dependent on all this other macro stuff that we've been talking about, whether it has a total separation and it becomes completely adopted across the world, right? If it goes up and it hits 200,000, 300,000 and it doesn't happen, well, then it's going to come back down into that $80,000 to $100,000 mark. And it'll stay there until the next 4-year halving event.
Anyone listening to this is immediately selling all of their Zoom and American Express stock and buying Bitcoin at $7,000. Why shouldn't everyone be doing that right now?
I can't answer that question because I think that's what they should probably be doing.
So do you have more exposure right now to Bitcoin than you do American equities?
I don't have any equities right now.
You hold no equities at all?
None.
Wow. So that's a true statement then. You more of your net worth is tied to Bitcoin right now than US equities.
Absolutely.
Wow. This is the guy that I'm like watching, like Warren Buffett, the equity king.
So this is what people have to understand. I fully believe in all of those things. I mean, come on, man. If I pull my book out there,
you and Sticker like the guys.
If I take my security analysis book behind me and crack it open, you'll see like every single page on it highlighted. So I believe in all of those things, and all of those rules and principles are going to come back when you have a sound currency, right? Because let's face the facts. Businesses are always going to be around.
Yep.
That's always going to happen. But right now you're in a very unique environment that has never happened in any of our lifetimes that I believe is absolutely playing out. I'm not the only person that thinks this. You got Ray Dalio, who's one of the wealthiest people, I would argue probably the best investor on the face of the planet, because he not only understands the micro side, he also understands the macro side. Mm-hmm. In 2008, 2009, when the rest of the market was down 60%, he was up like over 9%. So like this guy, his personal net worth is over $16 billion. I listened to him a week ago. He says, we're in a depression at this point. Mm-hmm. So it's not just crazy Preston that's saying that the currency is going to fail. I mean, Ray Dalio, who I trust probably more than anybody when it comes to financial markets, is saying the exact same thing.
Really awesome interview and insights. This doesn't even begin to scratch the surface. Definitely check out the rest of this video over on Nathan's channel if you haven't. I will drop the links below for this. Get subscribed, check them out. However, the other thing that we need to talk about is people saying, well, you know, the hash rate is dropping. This is bad for Bitcoin. Miners are capitulating. They're dropping out. And I just want to take this screenshot again from Matt D'Souza that we spoke about yesterday. And like he says, many haven't noticed yet, but 30% of the mining network has shut off after the halving. New Bitcoin is getting allocated to more efficient miners who can hold a far more fertile environment for Bitcoin to rally. We're solely analyzing the supply side. So think about it. Whereas before, you know, these miners, they're desperate to pay for costs. They're selling. Now the guys that are still in the game, they're the ones that have the new ASIC miners. They don't have to worry as much about the overhead. They have their expenses figured out. They can sit there, they can hold, and they don't have that selling pressure that we would normally have, right? So that is just something to consider moving forward. Also, not to just mention from a fundamental perspective, like, you know, Raphael said over here from Glassnode, there's now more than 3 million Bitcoin addresses that are holding at least 0.1 Bitcoin, $975 worth. These aren't whales. These are just average everyday people. This just goes to show you how many new retail investors or even institutional investors are in the space. Now, I know what you're saying. Well, if I use my ledger, it generates new addresses. I get it. I understand. But still, this level has been consistently rising. And don't forget what we have going on pretty much right now with the Fed. This video has been circulating around the internet. If you haven't seen it yet from Jerome Powell, I'll play it for you super quick and then I want to discuss it.
Simply flooded the system with money.
Yes, we did. That's another way to think about it. We did.
Where does it come from? Do you just print it?
We print it digitally. So we, as a central bank, we have the ability to create money digitally. And we do that by buying treasury bills or bonds or other government guaranteed securities. And that actually increases the money supply. We also print actual currency and we distribute that through the Federal Reserve banks.
So as you can see, like Marty Bent says, the we here is literally 5 people voting on changes to monetary policy within the Federal Reserve System. So basically 5 people out of 330 million Americans get to decide when to print money and how much money to print. Also, I'm not sure why I'm not following Marty, but Marty just gave you a follow, buddy. So also, talking about some cool Bitcoin news, and then let's get on out of here. We do have Bitcoin featured again, basically over on the TV show Billions. So in their 5th episode, you have Bobby Axelrod's son, Gordy Axelrod, getting himself into a little bit of Bitcoin trouble. He basically has a mining farm on campus, and it shuts down the school's power grid, so he gets yelled at. So that was pretty cool. Just more Bitcoin out there for everybody to see. And also just want to kind of end on the fact that venture capital firm Andreessen Horowitz, which we just saw came out and was allocating another fund for crypto-related products. Okay, once again, why are all these guys bullish on crypto if, it's basically just that, if it was a one-trick pony and that was it, is what I'm trying to basically say. Essentially, though, they do think that past growth of social media, developers, prices, and startups among cryptocurrencies could mean a crypto cycle favorable to investors in the future. And to quote them specifically, they say, even though crypto cycles might look chaotic over the long term, they've generated steady growth of new ideas, code, projects, and startups, the fundamental drivers of software innovation. So technologists and entrepreneurs will continue to push crypto forward in the coming years. We are excited to see what they build. But like I said, guys, having a look right here, we do have a lot of resistance, a lot of rejection right here. So there is that possibility, like I said, we retest around the $8,800 level. Also, just to point out, there is a lot of VPVR. You can see right here, this red line, lots of accumulation here, here, and here. So it would be possible for Bitcoin to maybe have a retest down to those levels. However, if we do have a break to the upside, well, I would expect fireworks. So could there be one more opportunity? Yes, I wholeheartedly believe that we could have one more sort of bigger dump crash or even just a slight, mediocre move to the bottom to reaccumulate. But I still do have my eyes set on that $15,500 descending broadening wedge breakout. And, like our buddy Preston Fish said, we may have an $80,000 to $100,000 Bitcoin trending range by summer of next year. So that being said, today is Monday and we do have to give away a Ledger Nano S. So we do obviously have 7 videos from last week. So we have to do a random number generator, 1 out of 7. That's video number 3, which is yes, Bitcoin, big news. That was when JP Morgan essentially said that, they were going to have to let some crypto bridges happen because that demand is up for crypto. So let's see. Random comment for the Ledger Nano S. Drum roll, please. Diane Berry recently found out about wow. Okay. So this is a scam comment, guys. So these are the things you have to be careful. Lots of scammers out there. So Diane, you do not win the Ledger. So let's do this again. Let's pick another random comment. Wow. I try to clean them up as best as I can, guys. Ledger, please. There you go. So, Neilra1, you are the winner. Be careful of scams down in the comments, guys. If anyone's trying to give away crypto or saying like, oh, I signed up with this investor and he made me 10x my portfolio, probably a scam. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. But Neilra1, you are the winner. Congratulations. You do have 24 hours to claim the Ledger. If I don't hear from you, I'm going to give it to somebody else. If you guys want, you can also hit me up in my official Telegram right here. The link is above and in the description. Totally free. We just hang out. We talk crypto and price action all day. It's a really fun place. And that is it for me today. Hope you're having an amazing start to your week. I'm going to try to get a haircut today. So if I come back tomorrow looking like a little boy, I just need a haircut. I'm going to probably just get it cut super short so I don't have to worry about when I can see my barber again. We'll see. Hopefully that happens. But let me know. How are you guys doing in quarantine anyway? Are you going absolutely bonkers like I am out here? Let me know. That's it for me today, guys. Thanks again for coming back to the channel. I do love you guys. You're the reason that I do this every single day. Until next time, guys, my name is K-Dub. This is Crypto Zombie. Stay crypto. And of course, peace out.